Writer's block. Writer's block. What? Thank you. Yeah. So what is this writer's block phenomenon? I imagine it as it's having your hand, your writing hand, tied with this chain to a block. You can't write because your hand is chained with this thing. So yeah, it's your hand that's chained to this block. So how I visualize writer's block. Or the other way I visualize it as you know those chopping blocks where you get your head executed. You lay your head there on this writer's block, and an X is going to chop off your head for not writing. If you can visualize your writer's block like in this way, like how do you visualize your writer's block? It can give you a sense of an idea of what causes it. What is it? Are you creatively constipated? But if you can imagine things and you can create things and you can think thoughts and you can create all sorts of things in your mind, you're not really suffering from writer's block. To understand writer's block, you have to first understand the psychology of a creative individual. Imagine a writer as a therapist, unconsciously self-psychoanalyzing to resolve inner turmoil via the sublime medium of writing. So in other words, writers are a little batty. How can we not? Well, you're crazy. If you're my writer friends there, you'll agree with me when you share some of those thoughts in your head with your friends. They'll tell you like, are you okay? And move away from you a little bit. Okay. So yeah, that's why some of us write, to get those thoughts out. It's a paper always listens. You can write there and you can be crazy and you don't even have to share it with anyone else. Maybe that's where part of the problem starts, where you're thinking if you share what you want to say with everyone else, are they going to judge you? So in the end, you don't write. You just keep those thoughts in and you're just having these multiple thoughts which you can't contain, and they're not doing anything. And the longer you keep not doing anything about it, the harder it gets to do something. The term writer's block was first put across in 1947. It was described as a neurotic inhibition of productivity. It just means it's in your head, whatever you're thinking, what you're facing. Those chains that you can't see, that you can't put into words, they're in your head. So it's how you think about it, how you look at it. It's mostly you. Like I said, when I began this thing, I said that I don't suffer from it. I don't suffer. I take it as a break. I'm on a break and I figure out what to do next, and I do all sorts of things. And as I said, what works for my sort of mindset, your mindset, my mindsets, they're different. What works for you won't work for someone else. The common causes of writer's block: self-doubt or the imposter syndrome, which the other week we actually talked about self-doubt and the imposter syndrome. And yeah, if you attend that, you get a drift on how you need to be confident in yourself, because this puts the gauge or the limit, or it opens up the avenues for where you're going. I mean, sometimes you just don't have the time. You know, we have the same 24 hours in a day, but for other people, it's hard. It's hard. You need to work, you need to go to school, you need to look after the kids, you need to clean up, wash up, do stuff, learn, hustle, make money, go vote or unvote, campaign or not, and just so much social media which we need to be read by you, so many books to read, so much life to do, and time, which just leads into procrastination again, where you're thinking, I have time, but you don't have time. Things need to be done, and we'll do it tomorrow. I think I'll sit down tomorrow. I'll start, tomorrow will be fine. And perfectionism, because of course I want to share something that's perfect. If you're going to wait for that perfect moment, for your article to be perfect, for your writing to be perfect, for that book to be perfect, you're going to wait for a very long time. And disillusionment. Sometimes after going through this, writing is really hard and it's an intimate process from ourselves. You put your stuff out there and no one shows up. That's hard. That's hard. It can stop you from like, okay, so my article, no one reads my blog, no one comments on it, no one likes it, no one does anything. So why am I doing this? So you stop. Unhappiness. Unless your muse is pain and sadness and you write from that place, there are people who revel in that. I actually have a friend who stopped blogging because they say that they are very, very, very happy right now. They used to write these deep poetry. And I'll ask them, wow, what's happening? Yeah, I write from a sad place. Now they're not sad anymore, so they can't write. That's them. But for the majority of us, when you're unhappy, generally, I don't think you can write. As I said, unless you write from that point of unhappiness or that pain, that sadness. For some, that's the muse. But if it's not your muse, I'd say that generally an unhappy person is an unhappy writer and is one who's not going to write. And the more you don't write, the unhappier you get, and the more you don't write. And it's like a chain, it keeps feeding it's into itself. And now there's guilt. Now you feel guilty and you're less happy and you're not writing, you're guilty and you're not writing some more and you're unhappy again, and unhappy ever after. And you'll never write ever again. That's kind of scary. So please find your muse. If that is your muse, sometimes that's just what you need to find. Like what drives you, what keeps you, what gives you that spark. Huh? Burnout. Do a lot of things. Takes a while, takes a lot out of you. There was a time when I even tried to blog like every day. And after like a week, I was like, nah, I'm no longer blogging again. And I stopped blogging for like a month, 2 months, I don't remember. Then I started again. Then I tried to blog like every 4 days, every weekday, every other weekend. And I was just all over the place. The more I had things to do and the more I was trying to push myself, the harder it got. So burnout is real. Check your progress and see what you're doing. So yeah, as I said, writing is an intimate conversation with your innermost thoughts. So to deal with your writer's block, you have to relax and carve out that alone time to think about it. I'd actually even say that coming here and listening to me talking about these things, I'm telling you, I'm coming from where I am. You need to find your place. Where are you? What's going on? Find joy in your writing. When you feel good about it, you write good. So some quick tips. Play pretend, pretend it's no big deal. Pretend. Some say fake it till you make it. That works too. Like sit there, don't force yourself to be thinking like, okay, so yeah, I'm the uncle of bloggers. I have to write something that shows I am this person who does so much good. Yeah, sometimes that doesn't work. Sometimes I have to pretend that, yeah, okay, it's no biggie. I'll just write. I'll just write. And sometimes, yeah, you have to take that break. But taking that break, you have to be very careful because what becomes 1 week becomes 1 month, becomes 1 year, and it becomes never. So when you take your break, make sure you have structures in place that are going to bring you back to reality, to that point where you can write some and try something different. Sometimes that's what you need to do. You've been doing something, the same thing over and over and over again. You'd get tired of that. I'd get tired of that. We would get tired of that. Even your readers maybe might even be tired of like, okay, you're always writing the same thing. Can we move? Can we change? Maybe that's your signal to change. Like, okay, what different thing can you do? Not just about your writing, your routine. Try something different. Okay, you normally write at this hour, try another hour. Don't write in the evening, write first thing in the morning. Or if you're that 3:15 writing club, write at 3:15. Now stop and then change and make it 7:15, make it 12:15, make it any time. Why 15? Even 11 o'clock or whatever time. Talk to your characters, have coffee with them, interview them, and write like you talk. Have you ever seen someone who's sitting there silent and like, yeah, I got talker's block, so I can't talk? Nope, I've never heard that. We'll talk and talk and talk a lot. So imagine if you all wrote like we talked, would we end up with nothing to talk about? No, I think. But yeah, I think I lost the point somewhere there. But of course, write like you talk. If you write like you talk, you're never going to run out of something to write about because as long as you can talk, you have something to say and you have something to write. Lastly, just do you. You know, you can come here and listen to what I'm saying, and some of this will work for you, some of it won't. Figure out what works for you. That's why I was asking, like, do you suffer from it? What do you do? How do you get back? What does it even mean to you, this writer's block? When you say in your writer's block, what does that mean to you? Is it that you cannot write? Are the words not coming out? Are there so many words in your head that you can't find the one you want? Do you just not have the time? What is your writer's block? Because when you say writer's block, we can seem like we're talking about the same thing, but individually, when you break it down, you're going to see that what someone calls writer's block, someone also just call it like being busy, and someone also just call it being uninspired, and someone would just call it something else. And someone would just say, maybe it's just not the time, or it's not the season, or it's just. So sometimes it's not even the writer's block, as we would call it, the neurotic inhibition of creativity. It is different for each person. And what's keeping you from your writing? And with that, we want to do you guys. So can you come through? Tell us what's going on with you. How are you meeting this writer's block? Have you done anything that works? What works for you? What doesn't work? Or what's not working? So yeah, since we're like small, there's only like a few of us here. Can you just unmute yourself, introduce yourself, let us know, tell us a bit about yourself, your blogging, your writing, your creativity, and do you experience writer's block? How do you deal with it? Or maybe you don't experience it at all. I've seen people actually say that I don't experience it. I didn't say I don't experience it. I said I don't suffer from it. I don't suffer. Do you suffer?
Okay, so what keeps me from writing sometimes is the situation around me. So sometimes situations will give me so much content, but then it's that doubt that makes me think, if I write something like this, or if I write something about this, people, I will give people too much room. I will expose myself to the world, so people will know what I'm talking about and things like that. So I tend to analyze things too much, and I'm too afraid to put myself out there. So that is what keeps me from writing sometimes. But content I will have on different ideas I will have, but just putting it out there makes me feel like I'm exposing myself too much. So that aspect also contributes to writer's block, because it blocks me from writing. But at the same time, I do understand that content comes from our experiences, comes from our imagination. I'm one person who writes mostly out of experience. So yeah, that's the thing.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yes, as you say, our content comes from our experiences. So sometimes you need to go and experience different things to get a different perspective, a different view.
For writer's block, what I can say is sometimes we sort of just get tired of a style we are writing in. So we just have to keep on changing things, especially for people who have a blog that is niche to that is niched. At some point you will dry out. So one thing I would encourage people to do is try out something new, and also try writing other places, not just your blog, somewhere else. Also, if we are not reading, we shall get a blog. So we have to consume something to create. Basically, that is how I fight the blog my side.
Hi, Uncle B.
Hi, how are you doing?
Not too good, but I'm alive.
Your life is okay?
I have malaria, so that's kicking me down bad.
Oh, please get well soon. So I hope you can share with us a bit on the writer's block. Do you experience it?
I do, but I feel like I have changed views about it. I think there was a time when during another meetup, you actually did share your views on it. And you're like, oh, I think it affects someone a lot if you see it as a problem. And after some time, because I heard you say it, and I was like, okay, this is interesting. So after some time, I remember I was telling a friend, I was like, I think I have writer's block because I can't put down anything. I have so many thoughts, but I can't write anything. And then I started thinking, I was like, wait, but then I'm thinking about it as a problem when it's not supposed to be a problem. So I've gotten to a point where if I don't write, I don't really say I have the block. I just say I'm taking a break, like you said. So to me, every single time I'm not writing, I'm taking a break because I feel like I when I do write, I put out too much content. And so, you know, I need that break sometimes. And I feel most of the time, I feel like as creatives, as bloggers, we don't give ourselves that time to just take it easy, take a break, you know, tell our readers that, you know, we just need a little bit of a break from the writing and just spend time with ourselves, because we often feel like we have to always be on schedule. We always have to deliver on content, when it's not really meant to be like that. And it's not healthy at all to always think of yourself as someone who is, you know, over efficient, is a word I would like to use. So nowadays, I don't see it as an issue. I used to think it was, but I don't really see it as an issue. I just go through days, and if a month passes by and then I haven't produced anything, I'm like, oh, I guess my break is longer. Like, for example, after the winter ABC challenge, I don't think I've really created much. And I feel like that it's the best time of my life, because I often do feel if I do start to create now, you know, the content I'll create will be 100% something that I would want people to consume, than pushing myself to write something that is 50% heartfelt. So nowadays, I don't see it as a problem, is what I would like to say. I used to think it was, but I don't see it as one. The only time maybe I would see it as an issue is if I went about 7 months without writing. That's when I would know something is not right with me. But a month or two of taking a break from creating content should not be so much of a problem for content creators. You know, that's the time you have to fully explore yourselves, because as humans, we're changing and your content has to evolve as you're evolving. So if you need to take time to fully understand where in life you are at the moment and what type of content you have to create, I would totally advise people to take that break and, you know, understand themselves better, and then create content that you feel is you're comfortable with and is 100% honest with your personality and the personality of your blog. So that's what I'd like to say.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And yeah, wow, you've been dropping those gems, and I feel like, yeah, okay, so I'm moving this, I'm pushing this movement where I was saying, like, yeah, sometimes you don't have to look at it like it's a problem. Sometimes it's a signal for you to take that break. Because really, honestly, we're not machines. We can't churn out content all the time. We need breaks. We need.
For me, I don't go to writer's block at all. I always have this very small notebook in my bag all the time, whenever I go to town, wherever I am. And I'm always writing down my thoughts. So anytime I need something to post, I just go to the book and pull out something and post it. I feel writer's block is for people who are always waiting for opportunities to find them instead of they going to find the opportunity. That's my story.
Writer's block is pretty normal. Mainly because when you write, you assume you're going to change something, change someone, change some approach to a societal problem. And then sometimes it's completely ignored. And so sometimes you feel like it's a bit futile to actually write. But so I do suffer from it, but not for prolonged periods of time. But when I suffer from it, it's mainly because of my assumptions about what is the impact of the writing, and what is the purpose of the writing. So you have to make a decision between writing for yourself, like catharsis, or writing to try and influence public perception. But in general, we have to sort of like, I think there's a colleague who said he does not suffer from writer's block, and that's a very good thing, because you have to keep writing. Because now with social media and you know, video is like social media videos, TikTok and so on, you need to really intellectualize
thought still, and trying to make sure that, you know, people can still think through things as opposed to video themselves through things. So it's important to try and fight writer's block, not to keep it as not to assume it's a normal thing. It's actually something that we have to struggle against and to keep writing. Thanks.
Thank you. Yes, we have to keep writing. And I like what you've just put through, which is emphasizing what I said earlier about how we define it changes from person to person. You have to identify your reason for why you're in that writer's block state. Is it what you're thinking? Is it your experiences? And that way you're able to tackle the issues around it when you identify for yourself. Because if you just go on the internet and you're just finding writer's block, you're going to get many different situations and scenarios and responses. But you need to bring it back to you, to like, what does this mean to you? Why aren't you in that space? What's stopping you? Is it your mindset? Is it the timing? Then you can work on that from your perception.
Well, I haven't written since, I think it's Feb or March. So that's like 5-6 months. And like, you know how as a blogger, you have to plan your articles. So I planned everything, you know, my themes for each quarter, what it is I'm going to write and stuff like that. And then when the writing comes, I'm like, why am I doing this again? Like, for what reason am I even blogging? And then I leave it, I go and do something else. Then I'm like, oh, let me just do this. Then maybe I'll come and write in the evening. The evening comes, I'm like, no, I don't want to write. And so, yeah, it has just gone on and on like that. But then listening to your presentation earlier on, I realized that there's so much going on in my life, emotionally, psychologically, physically, and I am not in that place right now to actually, because as you said, writing is basically being you and bring out your feelings. It's almost like a diary. So I am not in that place right now. And yet, I feel like that would probably be the therapy for me to get out of the place where I am right now. So that's where I am.
Thank you for sharing. And for those in the audience who she actually finished writing a book, so I think you aren't that blogged too much if you're able to write a book. Maybe you can think of it as you're taking a break and experiencing that post-publishing life, that post-publishing stuff, and trying to sell and market that book. Huh?
Maybe, yeah, I think that's what I'll concentrate on.
Yeah, sometimes when you're having that energy, I understand, like, writing the book is the easy part. Going after the stuff that comes afterwards, that's like the hard part. Benjamin.
Normally when I read people's work and they are putting out work like every week, every day, and they are consistent, I worry. And I always think to myself, I hope they have this together. But my worry is what will happen to them after. And normally when people are consistent and sort of on a roll, when they stop, they never start again. So I don't know, sometimes it goes back to planning, even if it's a podcast or you are whatever you're writing for, because to have good even videos, you have to script them down. I think if people don't have a plan, if they don't do like the way other people do in seasons, a block will come. Oh, it's kind of, I don't know. It's more fatigue, but not physical. But it comes if you don't control yourself. You sort of like run out of words. You dry up. I don't know. It's kind. A block is kind of caused by the opposite of a block.
Yes, Benjamin, dropping some points there. You're right. For those people who really churn out that content very frequently, you can get to the place where you deplete that energy and you will need to recharge. And again, yeah, I've actually seen it. Like I said, my blog is now going in its 9th year. I've been through the phases where I tried to blog every day. I tried to blog here and there, and I tried so many things. And now I've come up with a fairly consistent schedule, which I am able to keep up with without it eating into me or being any sort of pressure or whatever. But again, sometimes you need to walk different journeys, different paths to figure out the one which like works for you ideally. Someone can ask like, I shouldn't blog every day? We didn't say don't blog every day. If you have it and you got it, do it. But remember that at some point it's going to catch up and you're going to need that break. And when you do take that break, prepare for it, plan for it, because when it catches up, you might think like you never want to write again. I've got some friends who I started blogging with 5 years, 8 years, 9 years back. And now they've gone and you go to their site and it's last updated 5 years ago. And they were the ones who I was actually looking up to, like, wow, you are on a roll, you write every day and you blog so much and you do so much. And now they're looking at me and they're like, wow, we admire your energy. Because sometimes this writing process, I like this analogy where we say that the writing process, it's not a sprint race, it's a marathon. It's something you want to be able to keep doing for the long run. It's not just today, it's not just this week, it's not just this year. It's something you want to be able to keep doing